Beautiful. Thank you for everyone joining either live today or watching the replay. I'm very happy that you found your way here. And I'm very, very happy to share some of my dearest topics with you. As you have already seen, this webinar is going to happen in 3 different parts. So today we're going to focus on the foundation, and the chosen topics for me are the self, the body, and the emotions. So I will share a little bit about that just because I think they're very important and crucial topics. And that we just need to speak more about. And if you are on here live, you're more than welcome to write questions in the chat and I will answer that. And if you are watching the replay, feel free to write me an email and I will answer as best as I can and as fast as I can. Yeah. So a little bit about me, if you've never heard anything about me or you don't know who I am. My name is Jennifer Nadia. I feel myself very much dedicated for working in this world and living my purpose and gifting the world what I really cherish the most. And so what I share a little bit with you here are all topics that are very dear to my heart and that I see at the core of most of what we do and what we're here to do. So I coach online. I hold events in Basel and Berlin. I also have events coming up in other places in the world. I have a festival that I co-create with other lovely women, and I also guide online spaces. So that's a little bit about that. More you can see on my website or follow me on Instagram, where I will mostly share the most and newest information. So as you probably can imagine, this is only going to be a little introduction into those topics. We only have 1 hour. And honestly, I could probably talk a whole week about each of the 3 topics themselves. So today we're just going to dive a little bit in. As I also believe that sometimes we don't need to learn everything about something. We are very used, especially from our upbringing and childhood and school, that the more we learn, the better. But in my understanding, sometimes we just need to hear one sentence, one word, and that is the most transformative what we need right now. So even as being here and knowing that I'm only going to speak a very short period about each topic, know that you might get already a lot from it and you might learn a lot as questioning and reflecting and bringing up new information is my most crucial. And sometimes it's not about learning something new. Sometimes it's about remembering. So I believe very much that we all hold all the knowledge already within us. But we're sometimes, we can imagine it as if you're wearing glasses or like are standing behind a veil. We don't always see everything clearly yet. So it's a lot about remembering the knowledge and the wisdom that we actually already know. And it's not knowledge and wisdom that we can only understand with our mind. Sometimes it's knowledge and wisdom that we actually know intuitively. And I will talk about intuition in the next webinar. Intuitively, and also knowledge we know in our body. Like our body has an instinct, our body has a knowledge. So it's tapping back into that. And that's why we're setting up the foundation here today to tap into these topics so that you all get to learn or remember the things you've already known. Quite an intense remembering, but I think it's a good one. So I'm going to take you on a little journey here. Like I said, this is just a start. And each webinar will build up on the previous one, but it can also be watched individually. And it will always bring up 3 new topics that, in my opinion, it's going to be like a red thread through all of in total 9 topics. They're all intertwined, even though individually they're also very important. I hope that makes sense. Yes. Exactly. So I would like to, for a start, because I already have spoken a little bit, and I also know that we're all coming from spaces before we chose to watch this live or the replay. It's important to also take a moment to just breathe, to rest and breathe, and to take a moment to calm down, as often we are not able to take in new information if we continuously rush and continuously go on. So I invite you all to just for a moment, wherever you are at, can you close your eyes? And when you close your eyes, just for a moment, be in this stillness. As often when we close our eyes, we're taking away one of our senses, it brings a stillness, because there's suddenly one thing less that we need to concentrate on. So can you just take a moment in this stillness to just observe your body, and just feel like, how does my body feel right now and in this moment? What emotions are present? And maybe there are multiple emotions present. And what sensations can you feel on your skin? Can you feel the clothes you're wearing? Can you maybe feel the ground you are sitting on right now? Be it a chair, bed, a sofa. What does it feel like on your body? And then notice, what has that done to you now that you have focused on the sensations, the emotions, and on your body, how it feels right now. Just notice, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? Can you maybe notice this slowing down that is able to happen? Maybe even this softening, especially letting go of so much that we're always thinking about, so much that is always happening in the mind. Can you feel this moving down, this energy that is just moving down, this restfulness, this softness, and this ease? And with all of that which is present right now for you, can you come back to the space? And wherever you are, can you open your eyes? And for a moment, I invite you not to look at the screen, but to just observe your surrounding. Like wherever you're sitting right now, what do you see around you? Are you maybe able to see your surrounding in a slightly different light now that you have slowed down and tuned into the softness of your body? And just observe. Nothing has to happen. And then gently bring your eyes back to the screen. And I just want to invite you to observe now that when I'm going to speak about all of those topics, if you are able to pay attention more. Yes, so I have chosen the 3 topics that I consider the foundation. And I know that there is many more topics that we could put into that category. But for me, those 3 are building up on each other and they make us kind of who we are or what we are defined by, right? And this is quite an interesting topic because I think our definition holds a lot of energy or value by our society, by the external, right? There is a lot of words that people put on us. So we're actually already in the topic of the self. So who are you, or who am I, and what is the self? Like if I really look into that and I take away all of the words that everyone has ever put on me and really think, does that hold truth? Is this the truth for me? And we start unraveling that, I think a lot of things will fall away, right? So in defining of who we are, in my opinion, we actually have to go through a process of shedding and of letting go of words or definitions that doesn't hold truth for us. Words and definition that is not our core truth. And this can be quite an intense process. I myself have gone through it probably a few times already, and I probably will a few times more, because it puts you in a position where for a while you actually have no idea what your identity is or who you are. But I think it's very important because you start separating what others have told you you are to what is your truth. And this is quite an important process. And it's this thing of finding like your unique and truthful self, like creating this basement, this foundation that everything else can be built up on. And this foundation should be clear and separated from what society tells you, what your family tells you, what your friends tell you, what the teachers have told you at school. Like, what are you underneath all of that? And it's very much linked to identity and ego, right? What is it? What is the truth that you are? And what is the truth that you want to be because it makes you feel better or it gives you status or power or money? And also separate that. Like the ego can hold, I actually really love the ego, so nothing bad about that. But the ego can hold on to certain identities because it makes you feel good, as in it gives you status and power. And it's also important to go through that and really realize, is that your truth underneath everything? Do you really want to be defined by that or not? So bringing it back or to the question, am I what others tell me that I am? Am I a teacher? Am I a student? Am I a woman? Am I an adventurous? Am I egoistic? Like all of those words. Which of those hold the truth? And which of those can you like symbolically put on a fire and burn away? And through that, redefining yourself. There's like this, I don't know if you all know the phoenix. I assume everyone knows the phoenix. It's actually also in my logo because I really feel very closely linked to that mythological animal, where the phoenix is actually able to rebirth itself through burning itself in a fire. So the phoenix, when it's at the end of its lifetime, it burns into flames, like it becomes fire and burns and becomes ashes. And from the ashes, a new egg or a new phoenix is being born, right?
So basically, it's the same that you can do. You can also throw all of your identities, everything that doesn't hold truth. You can burn that, put that on a fire, let it burn, and from the ashes, redefine yourself. So this is a very important process that we often don't do in our lifetime. We don't, and this we can do with everything, but in this topic and for this call, we're just talking about the identity and the self. So can you allow yourself to do this? Can you allow yourself to burn everything that isn't truthfully yours and to create a new identity? Like just hold that for a second and maybe take a few breaths here because it can be quite a challenging topic to talk about, right? So just take 2 or 3 deep inhales and really let this settle, what I just spoke about. So it is about claiming your truth back, like claiming that back, which is yours, right? I keep repeating the same things, but I think it's very important that we keep hearing it again and again, because sometimes they can be quite new concepts. Yeah, so I invite you here in this moment, after I've spoken quite a bit again, to once more close your eyes. And it's just going to be 1 or 2 minutes. But just close your eyes wherever you are. And for a moment, just let everything that I have spoken about just ripple through your body and through your mind, as in maybe there's still some words that are lingering. Maybe it's just like the energetic of what I spoke. It's doing something, some emotions are coming up, and just let that happen for a moment. So you're being with it without having to change anything. And for now, I invite you to let go of this and to really start focusing on the question, who are you? And just listen, what is coming up? Maybe there's words coming up. Maybe there's also a sensation in the body coming up. Without having to find the solution yet, just listen. Who are you? And who are you underneath everything else? Like, is there even a deeper layer if I ask you again, who are you? And just for the sake of it, we keep that very small right now. So you can come back to the space and open your eyes again. And I invite you, if you've really felt some wisdom in that, to take that as a journaling prompt, as in you write on a piece of paper, who am I? And then you let yourself just write. Just continue writing. If you feel like it's done, write again. Who am I? And keep on writing. And this helps to really get to the core, right? In the beginning, we might answer of, this is my name, and I'm Jennifer, I'm 35, I am self-employed, I am currently in Guatemala. And then if you go to the nitty gritty and really underneath, it becomes more and more clear what is underneath. And if you don't like writing, I sometimes don't like writing, what I do is I record myself. And it becomes kind of like a meditation. You sit down, you take out the phone, put on the voice recorder, and you're asking that question again, who am I? And then you just keep answering. And it can be messy. Like, who cares? It can be messy. You can speak for 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. You don't even need to listen to it again if you don't want to. But just through you thinking about it and exploring this topic, and you speaking, and through speaking, hearing yourself, or writing, and through writing, reading what you wrote, you can get to the core, or a little bit to the core. right? And the next step then is to find, when you have found who you are and the truth, the next step is to bring that into your life and to start living from this. And I think for that, we don't have time today, but let's start with step one, which is figuring out who you are. And the next step then is, how can I live from this, right? Yeah. So thank you so much for paying attention until here. I would really like to go to the next topic and share some wisdom and also pose some questions around that, and leave the self and the I there for now. Like I said, feel free to ask questions in the chat or also write me an email if something is coming up afterwards. And I also always invite you to check my Instagram or my Facebook, as I have shared about those topics already. So there is also some wisdom that you can find there. I will share my Instagram again in the email. Yes, so the next topic, which I have chosen as a foundation, is the body, right? It's such a beautiful vessel that we get to live in. And I call it a vessel because it somehow feels right. And we live in a society or in a world where there is so many images of what we are supposed to look like. It feels like there is one type of form that our body is supposed to be. And if we don't match that, then we're not perfect and we're not considered beautiful in our world. And this is a very challenging thing. So we have this beautiful vessel that we're born in. We have this body that carries us for so many years throughout our life, and then we have such often distorted image with it that is very much shaped from, like I said, the society, and it's about looking into that and re-establishing a healthy relationship with the body. And there is so many ways to do that, and I think here I just want to give some examples or invite you to explore a little bit, but please find for you what is your truth. Here I'm just giving examples and I'm sharing things that are helpful for me, but it doesn't mean that this is the right thing for you. Just see it as an inspiration and just pick out that one thing maybe that you resonate with and that you want to start, right? So for me, how I've spoken about it in a video, in a reel that I've recently took. For me, some ways how I cultivate a relationship with my body is through, first of all, food. I mean, come on, who doesn't love food? I think it's one of my biggest passions in life. And it's this thing of, first of all, are you listening what your body desires? Or are you just feeding it whatever is available? And I think that's a good thing to start, like, especially as women, I just want to share here that we are living in cycles, and also men have their own cycles, right? So I don't think every day we are supposed to eat the same things, except if that is your desires and wishes and go-to, then please don't stop doing that. But especially as a woman in my cycle, there is different phases of what my body craves. And if I start tapping into that voice or that desire of my body, and I start giving it exactly what it wants in every day of my cycle, this is creating a relationship, right? So some days I might crave fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and I just want to eat like that. But then there is some days where I want to have pizza and burger and whatever else. So listening to the body and like giving the body what it desires at its core. And there is a big differentiation. Am I following my body's desires, or am I following stuck emotions that are underneath it? So maybe if I'm sad, I have learned that sugar is helpful or ice cream. So is that really the truth, what my body desires in that moment? Or is it rather that I think it wants that? And that can sometimes be a bit a difficult thing to differentiate between, right? I mean, I've been there, and I probably will be there many times more, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm crave chocolate. This is my absolute addiction, by the way, chocolate. And what does chocolate stand for, right? And that's also with sugar, by the way. Sugar and chocolate, they're connecting us to our heart. They're connecting us to love. And chocolate also has a lot of magnesium in it. And it creates It works on our dopamine levels. So if we know that, it's like, oh, maybe my body actually just craves magnesium, dopamine, or love. So is it really that I want chocolate or sugar? Or is it something else that I need? So this can also be very important to tap into, and just to do a little bit of a diving into what is the truth and what is it that is really needed here in that moment. So, and this whole topic about the food can be such a pleasurable and inviting topic to start your relationship with your body. And it's also this thing of like, what I really like to do is cook myself like a 3-course menu of different ingredients that I'm craving, and like really treating myself and through that my body in a good way. It's like this, I don't know if you've heard about that sentence of your body is your temple. So what if you start, like, you need to start a relationship with your body, with yourself, right? You can't expect anyone else to establish this relationship. So how can you treat your body well? Through food. That was the first one. The second one for me is movement, exercise or sport. And I like the word movement more than sport or exercise, because sport and exercise for me is often linked with like pressure and competition and pushing yourself more and more and more. And yes, this is very beautiful for some people, but for some other bodies, as in mine, it feels way too stressful. My body rather likes the intuitive movement, and I will just be sharing actually today a video about that. And it's this thing of like tuning into the body, and we will do that a little bit together, of like, what does my body desire right now? What kind of movement? Is it maybe just like a stretching or a swaying, or is it a touch? But like things like that. Movement can be very small. It doesn't always have to be, I go for a marathon run right now. What if I just spend 5 minutes after waking up to listening to my body and moving it and stretching it, right? Often after sleeping, our back is a bit sore and stiff. So what if we like move the spine and stretch it? It's just in that way which the body desires. For me, this is also creating this healthy relationship, as movement also makes us happy. It's healthy, but it's also your own kind of movement, what you desire. And please, if you love doing sport or any kind of sport, don't stop doing that, but also maybe allow yourself to tune in that day when you do the sport that you always do. And like, how does my body feel today? Oh, actually, it's very tired. And it feels a bit sore. So how can I do the same thing that I always do, but with a bit more gentleness? Like, yeah, something like that. And the third one, which I chose, which I think is for me personally very important, and I can just give that as an invitation, but take it as you want to. It's like also listening to my body, what it desires to wear that day. Like sometimes it's the kind of fabric my body wants to have on the skin. Sometimes it's a certain kind of color that I want to dress myself in. And it also has to do with like, I can't pronounce that word in English, so I better not try. Like things like jewelry or a hat. These things, it's like, if you imagine, I don't know why I have that image coming up now. If you imagine your body being a Christmas tree, so you're putting on different kind of Christmas bowls and like different decoration and candle, you're adorning the Christmas tree. You're making it more beautiful, right? You can do the same to your body. And this is also very important, to tune into the moment. Like some days you might just want to feel slouchy and you just want to wear the most comfortable things on your body and it has to be all gray, then do that. And on other days you want to be all shiny and sparkly, so also do that. And this is actually, I think, a little bit easier for women in our society than it is for men, which I think is very sad. But can you allow yourself that space as well, to just tune into the body, feel what it wants to be dressed in, and then move from this into the world? And I actually, like working as a self-employed person, working from home most of the days, I had to learn that the hard way where in the beginning I was working so much that sometimes at 7 in the evening I was still wearing my pajamas. I hadn't had a shower, I didn't brush my teeth, and I didn't put on my contact lenses. And realizing that that actually made me feel very uncomfortable in my body. Not saying that happened every day, by the way. It just happened a lot of days. And it made me feel like I felt disgusting in my body. My body felt heavy. I didn't feel beautiful anymore. And now it's became a ritual where even if I'm working from home and let's say I have an appointment at 8, I will dedicate the first half an hour after waking up to have a shower, to like get ready and then listen to my body. What do I want to wear? What colors feel right today? And gift myself this time, and realizing then that I have way more energy. I feel better. I feel alive, and through that, starting my workday instead of the other way around. Yeah. Yes, I hope you could take something from here. I'm very curious. Yeah, and also here with this topic, I invite you once more, just for a moment, to close your eyes. There was a lot that I spoke about. And just also here, let everything that I spoke about just ripple through your mind. Like just be there through your body and just for a moment, just let that happen. And can you then let that go for now, knowing that anything that you need to remember, you will remember, and everything else you can let go. And I'm asking you right now to tune into your body and to really listen. What does your body desire from you right now? And maybe the answer is coming up as a sentence, like as a word, or maybe it's just that you just know that it's that. Maybe you hear it. No matter how you get to the answer, it doesn't matter. Like just start tuning into that and allow yourself, like opening up yourself to the possibility that your body can actually tell you what it desires. Then maybe just anchor that in, whatever that desire is that you heard, anchor that in. And I invite you to, after this call, whatever that desire was, to follow that, to find some space in your day where you can gift your body what it desires. And just take one more deep inhale and exhale, knowing that we will change now the topic, but that you have learned a lot, and you've also started listening to your body. And whenever you're ready, just open up your eyes again and come back to the space. Beautiful. And I would like to start the third and last topic for today, which is the topic of emotions, which is also very dear to my heart. I grew up as a child that was very, very emotional, and it was difficult for me to understand what was going on. There weren't very many role models. My family didn't really understand what was happening here. And it took me many, many years to understand that, yes, I'm capable to feel many emotions, sometimes not even my emotions, sometimes also other people's emotions, but also that even though I feel a lot of emotions, I am not my emotions, right? And this can be quite a challenging sentence to hear. Like, what does it do to you if I say you are not your emotions? Does it sound true? maybe to a part of your body or a part of your being? Like, what if you are not allowing yourself to be defined by your emotions, but rather you are able to feel? You are a human being. We've established you have a self, you have an identity, you have a body, and you are able to feel. But it doesn't mean that you are your emotions, right? So if you're angry, it doesn't mean that you are continuously and always angry. And angry is the only emotion that you will ever feel. Anger is just a part of you. So even if you are angry, usually there are different other things happening in your body. There is a part of you that is angry and furious, and there's a part of you that's actually chilled and it's like, I don't even care. And there is a part of you underneath all of that that's like, underneath everything, I am still this, this, and this, like as in the core identity. And it just can just help to understand that the emotion is like this beautiful coat that you are wearing at that moment. But it doesn't mean that this is your only coat that you're having, if that makes a little bit more sense. So yeah, that's one thing, right? To establish first that you are not your emotions. And the second very crucial and important thing is we live in a world where we often separate emotions into good emotions and bad emotions. So there are emotions that we strive towards feeling, and there are emotions that we rather bury in the sand and never feel anymore. As an example, obviously, it's joy we usually cherish, ecstasy we cherish, blissfulness we cherish. And then we have emotions like anger and grief and sadness and depression and shame and guilt that we're like, poof, I never want to feel them ever again. So we have created this scale of good emotions and bad emotions, right? I think I would have to put my hands out of the screen to really show you what the value they have in this world, right? They're like really, really far apart. So what if I tell you here and now that in my opinion, in my understanding, there are no bad emotions? Let that sink in. There are no bad emotions. That's just a definition we have given them. But at the core, no emotion is bad. At the core, every emotion teaches you something. They have some wisdom. They are important to feel. But if we push them away and we shame ourselves for feeling this is when we create chaos. And it's not even our own fault that we create this chaos, because we are born in a world where we often don't have role models of how to be healthy in anger, how to be healthy in grief, how to feel and live this, come out of it again, and be your true core self, and not be lost in it, submerged, like never getting out of it. You're just swimming in anger for like 5 million years. This is not what we want. But it's like anger is part of you and it's important. And just with anger, for example, anger gives us energy and power, right? We feel strong. I've heard this once, haven't tried it that much because I don't like cleaning, but I've heard this once that a woman said that if she's angry, she actually chooses to clean her house because she has a lot of energy and she uses that energy to do something productive. And I think it's such a beautiful example. So please try that if that's your thing. But also maybe like sport can be helpful when we're angry. It's also activating, right? So it's like establishing and finding a way how we can live with what we're feeling without having to push it down, shame ourselves, diminish ourselves from feeling something, or judging ourselves, right? So can we be with everything that we feel? Can we allow to feel everything that we feel? And hold ourselves in acceptance. It's a similar thing with the body. No matter what your body looks like or desires or craves or feels like, can you find acceptance for that? So can you also find acceptance for what you're feeling, for your emotions? And also let that sink in. So take one deep breath here, because yeah, can you accept yourself and your emotions forever, whatever you're feeling? And the next big thing about emotions is that sometimes we don't actually know what we are feeling. Some emotions are intertwined with each other. And there is this wheel of emotions. You can just Google it. Just Google wheel of emotions. And you see that we have, I think, the 6 core emotions. And then underneath each emotion, there is different ones that are sorted into that. So sometimes it can be really challenging. We just say like, I'm sad, but maybe we are more depressed, or we feel more grief, or we feel more empty. Like they're all different and different types of the same emotion. And where would we learn that from? If we grew up in a family that didn't teach us about it, if we didn't have good role models as parents or at our school or in society in general, where are we supposed to learn to name our feelings or understand what we're feeling? So how are we able to show up in a world when we don't even know what's going on? So it's once more this feeling within yourself, like being with yourself and really learning how each individual emotion feels like for you. So if you start learning what you feel, that's when you can start working with it. That's when you also can start showing up in the world with your friends, with families, with society in general in a healthy way, because you know what you're feeling and you know how to deal with it. So you know how to process it. Maybe you know that whenever you are sad, you need to be by yourself. You go into your room, you go into your, like in bed, under your blanket, you find this comfort, you put on a good song, and you're like, this satisfies me and it helps me to feel the emotion, right? To feel it fully. But then an hour later, I get out of bed and I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm good. I feel good again. This is how we can process emotions, how we can learn. And this is very individual for each person. So that's why it's so important to find your way of dealing with it. There is so many books about how to what to do when with which, but in my opinion, we're all very different. So my solution maybe doesn't work for you. So I can give you ideas and suggestions, but I cannot give you the solution. So the most important thing, once more, here is you learning to listen to yourself, you learning to listen to your emotions, your truth, and learning to establish tools and methods how you can handle that, or them, or yourself, right? I mean, your emotions are you in some ways, but they're not fully you. Yeah. So, and through all of that, in my opinion, we can start showing up more authentic and be more real in the world we're living in. Because we have a sense of self, we have a sense of our body, and ideally we also have a lot of love and acceptance for our body and for the self. And then we start realizing or noticing or learning what we're feeling, and we also start finding a sense of that and an acceptance and some love. And through all of that, we can show up more real. We don't have to pretend, like we don't have to walk outside with our friends and put on a mask, because underneath we're feeling shitty and we feel shameful and guilty that we feel shitty, and we're like, oh, I can't be around my friends if I feel that way. Like, what if you start being real and showing up everywhere you go exactly how you feel? That doesn't mean that if I'm angry or I'm sad, I'm just going to dump it on you, but it's like, I'm going to take care of it. Like, I feel sad right now. Can I just sit here with you and just listen and be sad? And in my opinion, most of the times when I have shared that with friends, they were very giving and loving. And they're like, sure, you can be here. Do you need a hug? Yes, maybe. But afterwards, I will just be here. And I don't want you to make any special treatment for me or put any like energy towards me, but just let me be here. This is the beautiful thing of being accepted the way we are. I can just be there. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to pretend anything. I don't have to push myself. And I, most of all, don't have to be in a better mood than I actually am. So this creates a world where we can show up as ourselves, which also allows others around you. And this is the most important thing. If you start tapping into that, if you start doing that, you also are putting in a seed in someone else, like you're planting a seed in someone else. And it doesn't even have to happen through your words, but your action plants seeds into other people that will grow into something. So if you start doing this, you start inspiring hundreds of people around you. And if only like a handful of those people around you really consciously realize what's going on and also start inspiring in others. And the other ones that are not consciously realizing what's going on, they will also start planting seeds in others. Like, believe me, it happens. We're like a ripple effect. Like when you throw a rock into the water, there is a ripple effect happening. So if you change yourself, if you change things in your lives, you will always influence your external world as well. And I think that's very powerful. So that's why, in my opinion, starting the work with yourself, doing this healing, doing this like unraveling and exploring of all the varieties you have, this is the biggest step you can take. So bullshit about people saying that we as individuals can't change the world. In my opinion, we as individuals, that's where it starts, right? And it might be, maybe it's slow, but imagine if thousands of people are stepping and doing that, and thousands of people are planting a seed, and maybe there's 3 seeds growing in one person. It will all have a bigger effect, like the ripple effect. The circle will get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. And even if the circle is not seen anymore, there is an invisible vibrancy and currency happening in the water as well. So really take that with you, as in like the small little thing, like you choosing to be here today, or you choosing to watch this replay is going to have an effect in your life and is going to have an effect in your surrounding, right? Sometimes we don't need to do more. Less is more. I'm a big fan of that. Less is more. So thank you for being here, because you've done a lot. And just take a moment here after I've spoken so much. If you can, close your eyes for 1 second more. We're going to soon be finished. And just feel. I've spoken a lot, so let's feel. Like, what emotions are present? And how do you feel right now? And take a few deep breaths, like 2 or 3 breaths, really feeling that you're breathing into your lower belly. And then slowly coming back to the space. We're just doing very short meditations here, or short breathing exercises. I want to say thank you for being here, for joining live, or watching the replay. It doesn't matter. The next webinar is going to happen at the same time in 2 weeks. So that's the 21st of February. And whatever time you've tuned in, it will be the same time. And I will be talking about the topics of movement and dance, which I've already tapped in a little bit today, topic of nature and plants, and the topic of magic and creativity. So it's going to be a diving into more of tools, or let's call them tools, like things we can work with. And I'm very happy to share more about that. Follow me on Instagram or Facebook, as I will share little snippets of those topics each week up until then. So this week we have movement and dance. Next week I will be sharing about nature and plants. So you also have like little messages dropping in. And all of that, obviously, there is a bigger picture of everything. I will be creating an online course where we will dive into each of these topics for a week. And because I'm a big fan of slowing everything down, we will have a break week after 3 weeks, we will have an integration week. So this really, that's why I'm saying today here, it's just a short diving into the topics, but ideally we have way more time. So in this online course, and it's going to be a prototype, so there will be like good value prizes coming up. So just stay tuned, because if you're joining the webinar, we'll definitely have a special prize for you. But it gives this time of diving into this topic each for a week. And it gives this time to slowly start establishing a new truth for yourself and for your body and your life in like 3 weeks. In 3 months, sorry, 3 months is the total. Yeah, and that will be guided in a group. So Yeah, more will be shared soon. I'm dropping information about it slowly. And then the last webinar is going to happen in the first week of March, so 2 weeks after that. And this will be about pleasure, radiance, and aliveness. So it's about integrating all that we have learned and bringing it all together so we can step into the world. So it's not just learning, but it's actually like transforming it so that you can tap and step into the world as the new truth that you have found. Yeah. So thank you so much. Like I said, reach out for questions if you want to through email or Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you all a lovely evening or day, wherever you are at. And I talk to you soon. Bye-bye.